We'll be right back. Andre, we're going to rejoin WCIX, the CBS station in Miami.
Most of the lights of Brickell Ave apartments are out. And the lawn furniture hasn't decided to go for a swim. It's just being stowed in the pool in hopes it won't blow away. Terraces are empty. There's no traffic. And at first glance, you'd think Brickell Ave is deserted. But there are some folks who are going against the best advice and have decided to ride out Andrew.
I feel like this is as safe as anywhere else, because we've got a stairwell out here that's got these thick concrete posts at all four corners, concrete block, and I thought I was safer than being in some house inland where you don't know if a pine tree is going to come crashing through your window or not.
Pat Murphy, his girlfriend, and two cats have the hurricane shutters in place and everything off the terrace. Oscar Corbella has also decided to ride out Andrew. His kitchen is doubling as a bedroom tonight, and Oscar is glued to his TV. Looks like he's getting the best information available, so why is he staying in an evacuation zone?
I've been told that the building is very safe. I mean, there is no problem to stay here, so why not?
There are a little more than 100 families living in this building on Brickell, and about 11 of them have decided to spend the night right here, Andrew or no Andrew. But if things get really rough, they may end up spending the night right here in the stairwell. You see that spot right down there? That's where I'm going to be camped out.
I'm hoping to sleep through it. We're so darn tired, and it's going to be dark, and we're just going to go when it starts. We can go into the stairwell, and
that gives you a kind of idea. We kind of dumped out of that story in the middle, but while that tape was running, you can see it started raining again. It seems you can't keep away from it. It's raining for about 5 minutes, and then it stops for 5 minutes. It's really an amazing kind of feeling because, again, when it stops, it gets real quiet. You think, well, what's going on? And then it kicks back in again. You can see my building behind you, and you see there are some people there. I'm not the only foolish person staying out here on Brickell Ave tonight. And if we can pan over here, I don't know if Steve can move from that position. We're going to try. Here we go. We're going to see kind of a crazy shot there. But if we look over there, the wind is moving. Those trees are starting to pick up again, and you can see how windy it is again.
Yeah, we can't see too much of that, Steve. Actually, it's just gotten so dark.
It's hard. It's pretty dark out here. Yeah, but as you can see, it's pretty windy right now.
It's hard for you to hear us as well, I know, because of the wind. I have a suspicion, I'm not absolutely certain, but I suspect this will be the last time that we'll be able to talk to you until after the storm is over.
That may be the case. I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out as long as I can out here with the live truck, and then I'm going to start heading inside. But if I can talk to you once more, I will. If not, I'll be talking to you in the morning.
Yeah, you're
right now.
really looking pretty ugly.
It's getting pretty wet right now.
How's your cameraman, Steve Shelton, holding up?
Steve Sheldon is holding up just fine. He's getting wet and probably wetter than I am because I can keep covering up, and he's hanging in there just fine.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steve.
Talk to you later. You know, just before we went to Steve, we were talking about some of the people that have been brought into Jackson Memorial Hospital throughout the evening. There's one injury they say was probably hurricane-related when a man was seriously burned when he tried to dismantle his stove. Now, we were talking about that sort of thing earlier tonight. It is very, very important that people who are not skilled in that way as handy people, repair people, they should not try. And the inclination is going to be to try and fix this thing or that thing, especially as they face some dollar damage to their
And I'm sure,
property.
despite the warnings, we'll still see that.
But we shouldn't do it. Shouldn't do it. All right, we're going to move along to Kathleen Corso, who has been working at a Westgate shelter all evening. She is out front there. It doesn't look quite as windy or wet as it did the last time we checked in with you, Kathleen.
Yeah, you know, John, it's much like Steve Greenberg said along Brickell Avenue. It sort of comes and goes. We are basically about the same spot Channel 6 Action News is. We're just down 87th Avenue, not far from you. So what we are experiencing now at this point in Westgate, which is right around 826, the Turnpike, 87th Avenue, is what other folks in this area are experiencing. Now, a few brave souls have started to come out of the shelter a little bit to kind of get a closer look at what's going on out here. Not much longer, that's not going to be a good idea. And I'm going to tell you, not much longer are we going to be able to talk to you for this very reason. I want to show you something. I don't know if you can see it in the darkness, but the mast on our live truck, which is about 40 feet tall, is swaying back and forth, so much so that as we were sitting in the live truck earlier, the live truck was literally rocking almost, it seemed, from one side, one tire to the other tire. Rather a precarious feeling sitting in a vehicle like that under the circumstances. The trees, of course, swaying, moving here a little bit. Once again, though, still just that light rain, sort of this teaser, if you will, before the storm comes in, really does give you an uneasy sense of calm, or a sense of calm. Gee, how bad can it be? Obviously we know the worst is yet to come. Back to you, John.
Okay, Kathleen, thank you very much. In all, there are about 180 emergency shelters that are set up all across South Florida. And a few of them are reported full, as we've indicated throughout the night. A number of them don't have, hardly have anybody there at all. Many residents, however, have been fleeing the hurricane, going as far north. We understand that hotels are just jammed as far north as Orlando and Ocala.
Yeah, at this point, it's too late probably to get a hotel room anywhere.
Northbound traffic, we understand, on I-95 also was extremely heavy. I-75 and the Florida Turnpike, the same. As drivers, I mean, literally thousands and thousands of drivers just said, we're going to get the heck out of here.
Yeah, they're panicking, and I don't blame them.
My daughter was among them, and I'm so glad that she did.
So am I, John. Well, Maria and Gary are rotating. I guess Maria is taking a much-deserved rest right now. Gary is now joining us with the very latest on the coordinates of Andrew, and let us know exactly where he stands right now.
Well, the situation that was described by both Kathleen and Dr. Steve, that's going to come to an end, where the rain comes and goes. It's about to come and stay, okay? The bands have been coming through. These are the spiral feeder bands, and there are gaps in between them. And we're getting those consistently now, but pretty soon we're going to get out of those broken spiral feeder bands and get into the more consistent heavy rain, the wind-driven rain, which is associated with the center of the storm. Let's go to our radar, our live radar picture, and this is calibrated, I think, now to 120 miles. Again, a very dramatic picture of the hurricane. Right there in the center, that is the eye, and all around it in the dark blue, that is the heavy rain. Of course, it's not only calm, it is eye in the center of the hurricane, in the eye, and then the area right around the center in the yellow and the green, that is the eye wall. And the rain is not so heavy there in the eye wall, because that's where the very, very super high winds, close to 140 miles per hour, are right now, right in this very center area here. Then you break out into this dark blue. This is where the very, very heavy rain is. Then the area in the green is a lighter batch of rain. As you can see, the spiral bands have breaks in them as they come ashore, but we're getting into a pattern now where the breaks will close off and we'll just have a more consistent type of rain, and that could come up pretty quickly. So if you've been outside, if you're watching our coverage, you're going outside, maybe taking a walk away from the house, be advised that the weather could change pretty quickly here, and the wind could really come up and stay up, and the rain will be up and continue in this mode for the next several hours until we get on the other side of this hurricane. Let's go now to Dr. Sheets. Do we have Dr. Sheets at the National Hurricane Center?
I'm here.
Okay, Dr. Sheets, the man who keeps going and going and going. Are you still expecting about 8 to 10 inches of rain?
No, we're around 5 to 8. I don't know where we got the 8 to 10. I think that somebody had a typographical error on that. No, about 5 to 10 inches of rain at a maximum. And we've seen the forward speed of the storm increase slightly in the last few hours. And so that means that we may even have slightly less rain, because the faster it moves across us, the less time it has to rain on us.
Just out of curiosity, how do you measure rain when a lot of it's going to be going sideways with these very high winds?
Very carefully. Actually, there are gauges that try to measure that, and you look at area kind of rainfall there. Probably not all that accurate.
I know that we're just about to get into the heaviest activity right now. I was mentioning just a moment ago that these conditions where the spiral bands are coming through, the rain comes and goes, the wind goes up, the wind goes down, that's about to end pretty soon, and we're going to get into a more consistent type of weather. Is that about to happen just about momentarily now?
Yes, Gary, it is. As a matter of fact, the winds here in our building, I've been watching those change there. Right now it looks like about 30 knots, gusting up to about 40 knots on the roof of our building right now. So that's around 30 knots would be around 35 miles per hour, gusting up to about 45 miles per hour. And so they've been going up, edging up 5 to 10 miles per hour about every half hour or so.
Now, earlier today, you sent some of your staff to Washington as a backup to your location there in Coral Gables. Do you have a feeling that you might need to use them, or do you anticipate staying up?
Well, I just don't know. That's we're going to suffer the impact of the hardened core of this hurricane because the center now looks like it's going to go inland over the Homestead, Cutler Ridge, Florida City area sometime around 6 to 7 a.m., maybe even slightly earlier than we thought earlier of 8 o'clock and then maybe 7, but somewhere in the 6:30 to 7 a.m. Kind of time frame. And that means the strongest winds are on the north side, which is right here, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Key Biscayne, Miami Beach, right on up into South Broward.
Do you have a generator there in your building?
We've been using the generator for some time, so we have not trusted what's going on with power outside of this building. We have 2 generators. I'm looking at the light on it running there right now, so we've got one of them that's driving our power.
Very good. And one last question regarding the long-range future of Hurricane Andrew. You mentioned to me earlier this evening, it looks like the Gulf Coast is a potential area where it might go. Are you still thinking that?
Yes, we are. Now, I think the emphasis we need to shift to the Marco Island, over into that area of Naples, Sanibel Island, on up into the Fort Myers area that's going to have this hurricane moving across there in this morning and today. And then out over the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll have another day or 2 to look to see exactly where it's going to go, but will threaten somewhere in probably Louisiana or Texas.
Well, more people then need to be very concerned about Hurricane Andrew. Dr. Sheets, thank you very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
You're welcome.
Dr. Bob Sheets.
Before we go to the break, let me ask you, it doesn't hurt to reiterate, we were talking earlier in the evening, you were talking earlier in the evening about the tornadoes associated with the hurricane. Most of them on the other side of the eye as it passes through. But tornadoes can also occur on the forward side as well, can't they?
Well, they can occur really anywhere within the hurricane itself, over land primarily, because a tornado by definition is a cyclonic funnel cloud over land as opposed to a water spout. So it could be in any portion of the hurricane, and that's why a hurricane watch went into effect when it did, when the hurricane was still quite some distance offshore. So now that it's here, the potential for damage from tornadoes is there. It is.
And we can't overemphasize that. A lot of people tend to not think about that, to focus on the big storm itself and not realize all of these tornadoes that are spawned are equally, as, if not more dangerous.
Tornadoes, lightning, storm surge, wind, flooding.
Very, very dangerous.
Right.
Gary, thank you very much. At this point, I think we're going to take a break.
And we'll be back with more tips and information.
To bring you the very latest on what's going on down in Miami.